next section, we're going to try this out. So we'll use what we've read so far from chapters 1 and 2 to write some questions that we could ask someone else. Let's think of some examples. Well, first I'm going to think of general questions. That means the knowledge and comprehension questions. I'm going to use these frames to help me. So I could say, oh, who was, who are the main? Oh, okay, so I might start with who was Mr. Torres's boss? This is a knowledge question because I can look up that answer really easily. See if you can write 2 more knowledge questions using these frames. Okay? Make sure that it's about Lupita from the chapters that we've read so far. Now, I'm going to think of some comprehension questions to add using the frames in the comprehension column. So I could say, okay, what does blank mean? How would you compare? Oh, I like that one. How would you compare and I'll say Lupita and Salvador, since they're the main characters of the novel. Here's a comprehension question. Yes. It requires me to think about more than just what's obvious in the text. Now, write one more comprehension question. In our next section, we're going to write good discussion questions. What could I really debate about from this chapter? So I'm looking for application, analysis, evaluation, or synthesis questions. Things that I could argue about from Lupita. Now, I don't necessarily need one from each column, but I do need quite a few questions that I could really argue about so far. So I might say, well, what's a question that I could ask? What could I predict? What examples can you find? I tend to like those. Let's see. How about what examples can you find to support the idea that the Torres family is poor? So I could say, what examples? Actually, you know what? I changed my mind. That's a comprehension question because it's pretty obvious. I can't argue with someone that the Torres family is poor. So I need to think of something a little higher than that. Something that I could argue. I'm still going to use my frame, what examples can you find? Examples can you find? And then I need to think about what is it that I want people to find examples for? It has to be something that we could debate or that we could argue. And I might actually use an example from Fatal Sunshine. And I would say, what examples can you find to support the idea that farm conditions need to change? This opens us up for debate because some people might say that farm conditions don't need to change, but if I found evidence, then I could argue with them, and they could find evidence to argue back. Now I want to think of another example for a good discussion question. And I'm going to use this frame, what would you recommend? Because this is something that students could debate. So I would say, what would you recommend that the Torres family do to solve their money problems? This could cause us to debate and to discuss this. That's what makes it a good discussion question. Add at least 2 more discussion questions that would be good. You can use the sentence frames here or use the key words to help you think of what the questions would be. When you're ready to move on, go to the next page. For the last section, you're going to complete your exit slip. In this case, you will answer the following multiple choice questions by circling the best answer following each question. There are 2 parts to each question. So you start off with, who is the main character in the novel Lupita? And you would decide, is that a good question or bad discussion question? And then decide what level of question it is. You can use your chart to help guide you. Number 2, who is more true to themselves, Lupita or Salvador? Why? Number 3. Why do you think Lupita continuously refers to the Yankees as being very rich? Number 4. What would happen if Mr. Torres found out about Lupita and Salvador? And number 5. What statements support the idea that the Torres family is sad about the death of their father? Please complete your exit slip fully. That means all 10 parts to the questions. And if you finished early before the rest of the class or the bell, now is a really great time to make sure that you have Chapter 1 completed in your homework log. If you'd like, you could get a jump start on the reading of the next part of Chapter 2. Thanks for your participation in class today and your respectful following of the champs of the computer. Have a great rest of your day.